Hello, welcome to Nursing with Professor B. My name is Bridget. I have a master's degree in nursing education. I'm also a family nurse practitioner. In today's video, I'll be going over tips for living with ADHD as an adult. The information included at this site is for educational purposes only. It's not intended to be a substitute for medical treatment by a healthcare professional or specific personal medical advice from me to you. Watching the videos or getting answers to common questions does not establish a nurse practitioner-patient relationship. Because of unique individual needs, the reader should consult his or her personal physician or healthcare provider to determine the appropriateness of the information for the reader's situation. In the detail section of this video, I have included resources, hotline, the number 2 hotline and support in the US if you need a support system or you need to talk to someone about your symptoms. Okay, so I'm going to start with time management tips. Tip number 1 is watch the clock. It is so easy to lose track of time with ADHD. You start doing something and next thing you know, 30 minutes have passed, especially when it comes to social media. Like Instagram or Facebook, you just start scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And next thing you know, 30 minutes have passed and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do this chore or I have to study. So it's important that you know, like if you're going to be on social media, you can give yourself, set a timer and say, I'm gonna be on social media today for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And so set a timer, or you can be cognizant and watch the clock. Write down when you started a task. That way you know how long you've been doing it for. You can use the timer as a game. You can use the timer as, oh, I'm gonna do the dishes. I'm gonna set aside 15 minutes to do the dishes. But if you finish in 10 minutes, now you have an extra 5 minutes. Now what happens when you don't set a timer is maybe you start doing the dishes, but you remember you haven't done the laundry. So you go start doing the laundry, then you hear the dog bark, then you go see what the dog is doing. You go in your room, you realize it's a mess, you start cleaning your room, and next thing you know, you didn't do anything, but you started 3 things, right? The next tip is to overestimate the time you need to get ready. Again, I'm guilty of this. I think I can get ready in an hour, but then I'll spend 20 minutes doing God knows what in the morning, honestly. So people with ADHD are known for either being late or not being able to estimate how long something will take. So mentally, you have to tell yourself, if you have to be there by 8, then tell yourself you have to be there by 7:30. Give yourself buffer time. So if you think it's going to take you an hour to get ready, maybe get up an hour and 15 minutes earlier. The next thing is, if a random thought or idea pops into your head, write it down instead of impulsively pursuing the next idea or task. So for example, let's say that you're at school and you're studying and you remember you have to do something. Instead of constantly sitting there like, oh yeah, I have to do that, I forgot I have to do that assignment. Write it down. That's way it's out of your mind, it's on paper, and your mind tends to relax once it knows it's written down somewhere. If you're in school, you want to utilize as many senses as possible. For example, if you're listening to a lecture, when I was in school, I would need to write notes. I would, very kinesthetic, like things, you want to touch things, you want to see it. I would need to write my notes, so I'm doing it, I'm seeing it, and I would also highlight so that the colors would help focus my attention. The next tip is to know that it's okay to move. With ADHD, sometimes you'll have excess energy. You'll want to fidget. You'll want to fidget. Sometimes you'll want to get out of your seat. You'll be like, why is this meeting taking forever? I'm so bored. So things that you can do is maybe have a stress ball. For me, I fidget with my leg. Like if you're under a table and nobody can see you, normally I don't even realize I'm doing it. My left foot will always be like going a mile a minute. That's how my body releases that energy or helps mitigate that sensation of restlessness. So you can squeeze a stress ball during a meeting. You can take small breaks of studying. You can study for an hour and then stop for 10 minutes. We want to prioritize. With ADHD, there's a tendency sometimes to procrastinate. So I've been in school for so long that if a paper was due like the 20th, in my mind, I'm saying I have to turn it in by the 15th, right? These are for longer deadlines. Obviously, if your teacher gives you a deadline that's a little bit shorter, then adjust for that, but always allow ample amount of time for if something happens, life happens. When you're writing or taking notes or even making to-do lists for yourself, use colors. Writing things down and highlighting can help with forgetfulness. So I have my planner. I'm working on a block schedule. I did another video on how I manage my ADHD without medication, so you can check that video out. But highlighting helps me, colors help me, right? It would drive maybe somebody else crazy, but colors and writing and all that really helps me focus and prioritize. You want to start also with your more important tasks. So things that you really need to do, you want to start with those, and then the less important tasks, you can leave them for later in the day. Sometimes with ADHD, we tend to be disorganized and clutter just tends to accumulate. So you want to schedule time for organizing so that next thing you know, it's not overwhelming. So you could say something along the lines of, on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I'm going to organize my room for 20 minutes. And then Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you set a time to organize, you set a time for 20 minutes, a timer for 20 minutes, and you say for these next 20 minutes, I will only organize my room, I will not leave my room, this is all I'm going to do. You also may want to consider minimalism. I was just recently reading a book called The More of Less, I believe it's called, by Joshua Becker, and he describes the many, many benefits of minimalism. So obviously, right, the less things that you have, the less clutter you're going to have, the less time you're going to spend cleaning up and organizing. For us with ADHD, it just seems like the house, you clean it and the next day it's messy again. You're like, how does this mess accumulate so fast? So the less you have, the less time you waste organizing, the less clutter, and you save a lot of money. So minimalism really just helps declutter the mind because our external environment is decluttered. Now, if you're in school or even in a meeting or you go anywhere, I always recommend sit in the front row. Why? Because there's less distractions. So all throughout school, I sat in the front row. I can't sit in the back because if I sit in the back, I see that Susie Q to my left is on Amazon shopping for some new sandals. I see that Richard on the right just scratched his ear and then smelled his finger. I can't. I need to be in the front looking at the teacher like if my life depended on it, because otherwise I'm going to forget, I'm not going to grasp. So sit in the front row, there's less distractions. And also for me, I feel it's disrespectful if you're sitting in the front row and the teacher sees you like online shopping or texting. So it kind of forces you to sit there and focus because you don't want to be disrespectful. And the other thing is you don't get distracted. If you have to do homework or a work project, put your phone away at arm's length. My phone is currently on, not near me. I can't reach it. Why? Because in the middle of filming this video, if I had my phone next to me, I may very well just pick it up. And next thing you know, I don't even know how I got on Facebook, but I'm on Facebook or I'm scrolling through Instagram. So put your phone at arm's length away. Meditate. Meditation is so important. Meditation is a mind workout. Just how you train your body, you want to train your mind. You can start with 5 minutes and then slowly progress. Meditation helps with mild depression, it helps with anxiety, and it helps with ADHD. You're training your mind to focus. The last thing I will say is garbage in, garbage out, right? What you feed your body is very important. If you feed your body only processed foods, refined sugars, soda, energy drinks, you're going to be a jittery and mental fog mess, right? You're gonna get crashes, highs and crashes, okay? So you want to eat as healthy as possible. Protein, simple, complex carbs, fruits, vegetables. Drink plenty of water. A lot of times if you're fatigued, it's because you're dehydrated. And just being hydrated, all your cells in your body need water to function, right? So stay thirsty, my friends, right? Stay hydrated. So those are just a few tips on living with ADHD as an adult. I have a longer video that I did on tips that have helped me. So if you want to check out that video, check it out. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really hope this helps. I made this video because I did a video on ADHD signs and symptoms, and people have told me like, okay, yeah, that's good and all, but how do I manage this? Like, what can I do? So I made this video due to my subscribers. So make sure you leave a comment below which tip helps you out, or which tip do you think you will implement, and make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you turn on that notification bell. Until next time.